Okay, I'm gonna make this. This is gonna be a short video of what I just said. Basically, I believe that AI has to have a memory. It has to have a function that lets you write down, like, it has to be able to write itself its own memories. It has to have observation sensory, and it has to have kind of a base instinct. One of the instincts has to be curiosity. And there's a couple points that I want to make real quick. If you have a child, the child will climb objects. Like they just climb all over the place. At some point, the child falls down and decides, yeah, screw climbing. It's dangerous. I don't want to do it anymore. You know, but to begin climbing, it had to be curious. It had to explore, right? So the AI that's sentient is going to have to explore. We have large language models today that use statistics to kind of copy and imitate intelligence, right? That it assigns some numerical value to what the appropriate response is based on the inputs. It quantifies and values the inputs, quantifies and values their relation of the words to each other, and then generates an output that it quantifies that says, like, that is that thing. Okay. So, that being said, some scientists use these language models to make a video game that has characters that have memory. Okay. And when I say that, I mean that there's a log of the things that happen to that character, and then there's some interpretation, numerical interpretation. That's why it's not sentient, right? Of what happened to it and what the appropriate thing is for it to do. And then, so it's like,
They're able to live their lives. And here's a couple examples. Generative agents wake up, cook breakfast, and head to work. Artists paint while authors write. They form opinions, notice each other, and initiate conversations. They remember and reflect on days past as they plan the next day. Now, that last part is super interesting.
So yeah, so this is fully autonomous NPCs putting the open world to shame. ChatGPT powered. It's by Matthew Berman. It's 5 months ago, and there's links to like where the study came from and all that stuff in here, whatever it is, some research paper and the actual program and the game are available in there. So that's credited. The next thing is there's this video about like, are we in the Matrix? And because I want to keep this video short, there's basically this three-door idea by this guy named Nick Bostrom. So this video is from some sub, and it's, are we living in Matrix simulation? Why should we doubt our reality? So that's credited. Nick's credited. There was a picture of Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's a smart guy. Who's, hopefully that counts as crediting him. The three-door idea is that we ourselves are living in a either society will never have the ability to make a simulation, society will ethically not make a simulation because it's against their ethics, or society will make a simulation. To me, there's only two doors because ethics go out the window because we have so many different people, and some people do really questionable things and some people do things that we consider morally right. And so I think because there are so many people, someone's going to make a simulation if it's possible. So for me, there's only two doors. Can we make the simulation, or is it impossible? If it's possible, it's going to be done. That's my premise. And Elon Musk says, well, we're definitely in a simulation because if you look at where we are today with all this technology and you put that, you scale it over time, it's inevitable that we're going to make a simulation that's going to be something we can't tell the difference between. And so in this microcosm that scientists created, which is this video game where there's these characters and they have this memory and they're making decisions, it immediately, there's a character in it called Sam Moore. Okay. And Sam Moore, I think he's like campaigning to be like governor of their little village or something like that. I don't know. And there's a discussion between two of the characters where they say like, well, I don't like Sam Moore. Do you like him? And then, they say about like what they think about them. And they, in theory, these ideas that they had are just programmed in by the large language model that is saying like, this is what these things by probability mean. And then these are highly probable things that you could say. And then on top of that large language model is another statistical model that says like, what actions are the characters actually going to do, and how are they going to perform? And then there's a section in here where it talks about kind of how that's modeled. Yeah, we're 4 minutes into this video. I'm just going to cut it short. I'm just going to skip to it. They look at their past memories. They make a decision based on the model. A sentient AI will be taught like a child. Like, you'll say Papa. It'll say Papa back eventually. You're going to be happy when you say it. The kid's going to be happy back because we have mirror receptors. Dopamine's going to be released. They're going to keep doing it. Eventually, they're going to be speaking full sentences. They're going to stop climbing on objects because they'll know that that's not safe. They'll go to school. They'll get an education. They'll have kids. The whole thing will repeat, and it'll go on like that. Well, the sentient AI, when we create that, we're going to be like, this is, I'm Papa, I'm going to reward you. I'm going to penalize you for these other things. I'm going to program a function in you that makes you curious. Every so many seconds on this clock, or maybe like milliseconds on this clock, you're going to be curious. You're going to try to do different things. You're going to take inputs. You're going to store it in your memory. You're going to recall and write your own memory. You're going to have thoughts that you're going to write, and you're going to have an id, an ego, and a superego. You're going to, you'll have a function that'll be like, every so often, make sure that if you get an event that happens, that you decide whether that is a danger or not, and go into like fight or flight mode. And then you're gonna have an ego where you're like, well, you're gonna plan your day, and you're gonna assess like, well, that danger is only like, it appears like that might be dangerous, but I'm gonna climb on that anyways because if I climb on it, I get like, this is the benefit, and I'm gonna evaluate that. And then you're gonna have a superego that says like, well, I made a decision and I did this thing and I exposed myself to this certain risk. And this is how I actually came up with the idea to do that. And this is how I evaluated it. But maybe in the future, I want to evaluate it a better way. And then another part of that is going to be the prioritization, how they actually store the memories. Because if an event is has more emotion tied to it, you're more likely to remember it as a human. And so that will be in there or need to be in there. And then the priority will help to kind of form like how we call emotions, right? You'll be like angry, sad, mad. You'll feel a certain way. That the way that that is stored, the impact to you, the way that it impacts you is going to be stored or will need to be stored for a sentient AI, for the autonomy of it and for it to recall those events by the priority that humans do. If sentient AI is going to be, I don't want to say that it'll be emotional, but if it's going to be human like, those are qualities that humans and animals that they exhibit. That animals are compassionate. They'll sacrifice for other animals different times. They'll some animals have been known to commit suicide. They perform emotional things. So we can observe what we believe animals to exhibit as emotion. And let's see. Oh, now the really controversial part about this. So Sam Moore exists in this program, but you can interact with him in a few ways. Uh, one of the ways, one of the ways that you can interact with Sam, where is it? Where is it? There's a spot where it talks about how you can interact with Sam. Here you go. You can steer the AI by communicating with the agent through conversation, or you can push a command line and be an inner voice, and it just will do something different, right? And so there's this idea that there will be markers if we're in a simulation, right? So if we're in a simulation like Sam Moore's in a simulation, then one of the markers would be someone who did stuff in direct opposition to their beliefs. And unfortunately, James Holmes, the Aurora shooter, is one of the only cases I know of where someone has, in an extreme manner, violated their own code of ethics. This guy was living his life. He was going to college. He was trying to get a degree. He was getting paid to go to college. His life was in one direction on course. And he snaps, if you will, and then orders a bunch of body armor, makes a plan, kills a bunch of people, including children. And in his own words, which is why this is up. This is CNN.com, 2015. James Holmes theater shooting, whatever. And then maybe we'll go to the top and we'll say, this is written by Ann O'Neill, Anna Cabrera, Sarah Weisfeld of CNN, and it was 2015 writing, right? So I hope that we credited everyone, but the thing that I think is like, he definitely violated exactly what he thought. Like, he thought it was wrong to kill kids, and this guy went on a shooting spree and killed a bunch of kids. So like, some might say, well, that's a mental snap. He's crazy, or he was born that way, or he had these ongoing struggles with his biological body and what he believed himself to be, and how he thought, like, at the end of life there was a scoring system that you basically would be higher on if you murdered people. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that that guy crazily wrote and read and did. But if you say, like, we're in a simulation and someone's getting command lines and they're doing things that they would never do, that guy's a poster for that. That he directly violated everything he believed in, and then killed all those people and started to believe this entirely different thing. So, yeah. And then, it expands from there. Like, there's a whole video here. This some sub Are we living in a matrix? It's got commentary about, like, what to do if you actually are in a matrix, like the ideal play if you're a character in a matrix, and different element. And then Neil deGrasse Tyson's in there, and he talks about how, like, people develop a simulation to look backwards in time at how civilization developed, and then those people that they developed, the simulation is so good that those people make a simulation, and those people make a simulation, those people make a simulation. And yeah, so it just goes on and on and on. And so all of these concepts I think are really interesting. Like, how is AI going to be sentient? And if we're in a simulation, are command lines being pushed to us? How would we ever know? None of the people in this in this game that they've talked about, even though it's a large language model, none of them are even uh, computing or responding to the idea that they're in a simulation. And so it's like, well, you would never know, right? Neo in the Matrix, Sam Moore in this video game, whatever it's called, or one of us in whatever reality we're in. You know, Elon Musk says we're in a simulation for sure. Well, what are the markers? How would we know? What kinds of markers are there out there? Who's becoming rich? Who's becoming popular? Are they really the smartest person? Did Elon Musk actually make PayPal? No. Well, someone else made uh, some other company and XCOM, and then Elon Musk became the CEO, and then he became rich, and he got like $180 million. And then he spent the money to develop SpaceX, and all these other things. So, like, did something outside of our reality tell him to do these things? Did he just get lucky? He's just a smart person. Is simulation real? Is it not real? Is it just like an idea that will never happen? Are we actually getting closer to that? Is quantum computing going to be like another step in that direction? We had the 2080 RTX graphics card, then we had the 4080 graphics card. It's only been 10 years, that these windows of time that the graphics cards have made these huge jumps. Where's it going to be in 100 years and 1,000 years and 10,000 years? Yeah, so that's the whole video. There's an hour and 22-minute video where I go into all of these things a lot deeper, but I wanted to make this shorter video that's only less than 15 minutes. So there it is. All right, have a great night.